Not Nerd Podcast, episode 248. Too eager to do math.
Welcome to the Not Nerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we're here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
And live from On Scene, it is your intrepid reporter, Dave Baylor. I just wanted to do something different today.
Yes, I like it. Switching it up.
Switching it
after all
up.
these episodes. Well, we switch it up.
Keep people on their toes.
Yes.
We were just talking about the show Community, and that's a show that really switches it up and does all kinds of experimental things. And so I think that's what's inspired me to be wacky today.
Wacky. Let's go wacky with the Not Nerd Podcast. That's why people are here, for our wild wackiness.
Yeah, and before we start, I just wanted to say thank you to all of our new listeners in the various areas. Like,
yes,
we were looking at our map of the U.S., and it wasn't just Washington, Oregon, and California that was lit up. There were states all over the union. And so thank you, Texas, Kansas. I think there was Montana, one of the Virginia, one of the Carolinas, something like that. It was my mind was blown.
Yes. We love our listeners, and we love new listeners that find us whichever way you might come across us, and try to provide a lot of value and keep you up to date what's going on in this wonderful wild world of technology that we've got. And as always, we've got some follow-up to start off with. The first article, it's one that you found, and we've talked about this, that Apple they really have a focus on privacy and trying to find new ways that people can't track you, or in advertising and all of this stuff. And this is kind of an interesting take with the new iOS 14, which should be coming out soon. They are adding even more, as you would imagine, and they're adding, it's called the IDFA. It's some sort of ID tag that's anonymous, and they're putting in new restrictions and actually asking your permission when you install a new app if it can do this cross-app tracking. So, like, talking with my brother-in-law about this, because he goes, on my Facebook feed, I keep getting, they just built a new house, and he's been looking at decking to build their deck, and he's like, scrolling through my Facebook, I keep seeing all these decking ads, and I go, well, did you visit the website for that company? And he goes, yeah, I did. And I go, well, that's exactly why. They've got something on their website, Facebook Pixel it's called, that then passes that information to Facebook, and then they are paying to advertise in front of you so that you might be more likely to go back and give them money. So it's, we talked a lot about that kind of stuff, but this, it's really going to have an impact on some of these advertising companies like Google and Facebook trying to get ads into apps. When you're playing a game or something, those ads popped up. Those most of the time will either come from Google or Facebook, and they're using the ad information from Facebook to tie you to the app to show you those same kind of ads. So they're more relevant and targeted, which I believe is a good thing. I would rather see relevant, targeted ads, and if they're doing a good job of keeping it anonymous. But Facebook's kind of come out and said this is really going to have a big impact, on this part of our advertising model. And, so there's more to the discussion here than just better privacy. There is implications for companies that want to advertise, which I work with several companies that want more customers and clients. Go imagine, go figure on that. But, what are kind of your thoughts on this type of thing, Dave?
Well, I'm no fan of Facebook at all. And if they just stopped being something that existed tomorrow, I would probably be a very happy person. But one of the things I keep reading in these articles from quotes from Facebooks and various people is that they have this air of entitlement. Like, how are we going to advertise to people? How are we going to steal the eyeballs of the people and force them to buy our products? You're taking away our ability to trick people. And I mean, there's this whole layer of entitlement. Like, we have the right as companies to rape our customers' attention and steal it from them
Yes.
when I'm looking at it right from the other direction and say, no, I give you zero permission to know anything about me. Don't even try. But they come from this angle of it's, their God given right to pry into our personal transactions and app usage and various things so that they can advertise to us. And so I think it's wonderful poetic justice that Apple is doing this, and it's causing them hurt and pain because I don't agree with their whole system to begin with. I know that companies need to advertise and they need to do various things. But again, it all comes down for me to the guy who puts his tractor work sign on a creosote pole at a corner. What gives that guy the right to illegally place a sign to get my attention when I'm approaching a stop sign?
Yes.
Nothing gives that guy the right.
Yes.
And this is exactly what Facebook is doing. They are basically illegally putting up all their little signposts everywhere, hoping that somebody will see them. And I don't agree with the entire concept. I want to look out into the world and not see signs everywhere.
Yes.
In the same way, I want to look out into the internet and see content, not advertising.
Yeah. One of the interesting notes in here that I believe is not the case is that they're talking about how big publishers are considering abandoning iOS altogether because the value of advertising is expected to decline so much. So
great.
Yeah, you have every right to do that. So, like app makers, these game makers, they're trying to say, and I don't believe this, that they're going to pull their games from iOS or their apps because they would not be able to get the advertising or make the revenue off of ads, which if it's worth it, get a subscription, have some sort of a model where you can still make the money without having, and some of the ads, like some of the games we have for my daughter, the ads are so horrible, and they've got the tiny little X hidden up in the corner to close the ad, and they're for these horrible games and stuff. So it's, I hope that this makes things a better experience. And if we lose some apps, it's kind of like the Fortnite thing, which we'll talk about a little bit later, that iOS is a powerful force just because you're not getting as much advertising revenue. We'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, and I know we need to move on to other topics, but it's almost like when we listen to various podcasts and we notice, we take note, and it's like, oh, they've added an ad at the beginning of their podcast. Oh, now there's an ad at the beginning and two in the middle, and now there's two at the beginning, two in the middle, and two at the end. These advertising agencies, these companies, I think they just try to maximize and make as much money as they want without even considering the experience of the customer.
Yes.
That's what all these games are doing. I think the ad agencies are making plenty of money. I think the game studios are making plenty of money. I think the app developers are making plenty of money. It's just everybody wants more.
Yeah.
And they can't help themselves from just overdoing it and ruining it for everybody.
Yes. And we could get into a much longer discussion about that, but we'll move on because now you can pay for your gas with Alexa at 11,500 gas stations in the United States. And we talked about when they had announced this, that they were going to be rolling that out, and it's available now. So you can either, if you have, like you do, Dave, the Alexa car...
Yeah, the
Auto,
Alexa Echo Auto. I think I'm one of the few people in the entire world who has one of these on the dash of my car, and we use it all the time. And I will defend it and say, when it works way better than Siri.
Yeah.
Because I will have her do something, and she'll be just like either deer in headlight look at me, or she'll be like, I can't do that, or she'll do the wrong thing. When I tell Alexa to do something, she just does it. I mean, it works great.
Yeah.
So, but this is interesting. I had never considered pulling up to the gas pump and say, Alexa, pay for my gas, and then have the scary concept of my credit card transacting with Amazon to pay this third-party gas company kind of without me being involved. So I don't really know how it works. I just thought it was kind of crazy that this is like a thing. Who thought of this?
Yeah, so it's all the Exxon and Mobil gas stations, and it works with the Echo Auto as well as the Alexa apps, like on your phone or whatever. So even if you aren't one of the tens of people that have the Echo Auto, you could still do it. And looks like it's a pretty short article, and I do have to note, TechCrunch, in your first paragraph, you have the word more spelled wrong on the fourth line of the first paragraph. How these major tech companies don't shout out to Grammarly, which would have
Yes.
caught that, because more is not spelled Moer. I don't
Or
even think the British spelling.
shout out to Office 2006, where Microsoft Word could have corrected this
I
problem.
mean, this is a popular article on one of the biggest tech sites, and they've got a word spelled wrong in the first paragraph. But it looks like you would say, Alexa, pay for gas, and then it'll come up, and you will kind of confirm which pump you're at, how much you want to do, and then it uses the Amazon Pay, so the credit card you already have in your Amazon account to pay for the gas. And they do say that towards the end of the article, it does say the feature may not be either faster or easier than simply inserting your payment card at the pump directly, but it can be useful in some situations because you can remain in the car until the pump is authorized. The option is a nice perk for cold winter days or hot summer days as well. Could also be appreciated by women and others who are wary of being alone at the pump, like when getting gas at night or in unfamiliar surroundings. In the pandemic era, it means more time social distancing from the customer on the other side of the pump too, and reduces your interactions with the pump itself. So,
Man, those are some stretches, I got to say.
yes,
Those are some big
yes.
stretches. And it's a little sexist. So women are the only ones who can be afraid at night
Yes.
at
Yeah.
gas
It
pumps.
does say women and others,
And others. Like, okay, well, that's a loaded
and
statement there.
we do have to realize that we do have a very different perspective being here in Oregon, since we do not pump our own gas. We have gas attendants that do that,
Yeah.
so it's probably even less of a use here.
Well, all I
but
was
for
thinking
other
is that
states.
a gas attendant here would just be like rolling their eyes and shaking their head and going, what are you trying to do? But in other states where you pump your own gas, I can see pulling into a thing late at night and saying, okay, pay for gas. You're at whatever Exxon, pump number 2. Yes, $20. You get out, you start pumping. I mean, once you get into the rhythm, it's probably an easy affair.
Yes, well, I we'll see if we hear about this again. But much more exciting
Probably
story that you love is
Mhm.
Amazon gets approval to fly delivery drones in the U.S.
Yes. Now, this doesn't mean you're going to be seeing deliveries from Amazon coming to your house via drone anytime soon, but
Yes.
this is one step closer. The FAA has approved them to do this type of stuff. What is it, the Part 135 certification, which means the company has the go ahead to use drones to quote safely and efficiently deliver packages to customers. So the ball is rolling, and I was having a discussion with some friends yesterday, and the gal was just kind of like, "Oh, this thing's never going to happen. Is this even a thing?" And I'm like, "There was just an article. If
Yeah.
you would listen to the Not Nerd podcast, you would
Yes.
be aware of this stuff." But she thought it was still kind of futuristic. And according to this article, it is going to happen, and it's probably going to be happening soon.
Yeah.
It's going to be very limited, of course, and it's going to take a long time for this infrastructure to get built out. There's mistakes will be made. Birds' heads will be chopped off. I mean, things will go wrong. Drones will be shot down with shotguns, various stuff like that. But mark my word, 10, 20, 15 years from now, having a drone deliver the package to your business, probably, maybe your home, is going to be just a regular thing.
Yeah. And if I remember, I think some of the discussion was that they would, kind of drive a truck into an area, and then maybe the top opens up and all these drones fly out and goes, like for my neighborhood, it's a townhome neighborhood, so there's a lot of houses. If they could just deliver, do 10 deliveries with the flick of a switch and not be driving through the neighborhood and blocking
Mhm.
traffic and all that stuff. So yeah, well, progress is being made there.
Yeah, where I work is kind of out in the country, but it's right by town, and it's right near an Amazon distribution center. So if they could just pack something in the box, fly a mile as the crow flies, drop it on the parking lot or the roof, and then head back, that saves a delivery driver 25 minutes trying to get to deliver stuff. So I mean, Amazon can save money while
Oh.
giving customers a convenience at the same time.
Yeah, that Amazon distribution center, I've driven by it, whatever their shift changes are or whatever, and there'll just be 50 to 60 blue Amazon Sprinter vans coming down at the street and causing a lot more traffic on an
Yeah.
already very busy street.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to spend too much time on it because we've spent plenty, but the whole Fortnite thing, they released, there was some court documents, and they said, I was very surprised, so I kind of wanted to update and correct that. They're saying that about 60% of Fortnite users are on iOS. I was thinking that most Fortnite users would be on a game system or a computer, but they're saying at least 60% are on iOS, so it is having a big impact on their bottom line not being on iOS right now.
I'm just laughing because one, this was predicted by everybody,
Yeah.
and two, I don't agree with the tactics that Epic is taking, and so I just think this is brilliant. It feels like it's backfiring on them.
Yeah.
I don't want to discredit those who are being negatively affected by Apple's policies. I mean, there are some real issues there, but I just think it's funny that Epic seems to be the only one getting hurt by this. I mean, as well as the 60% of their players, but
Yes.
Apple doesn't seem to be affecting them one bit.
Yes, it says 116 million registered users, or nearly a third, which doesn't make 60%, of the 350 million registered users. That is iOS. It also claims 63% of Fortnite users on iOS access Fortnite only on iOS. Okay, so that's a little bit more of a correction. So about a third use iOS, and 60% of that third use it only on iOS.
Okay, well,
numbers.
That's way different than what
Yes.
the headline was.
Man. And I had
Disgusting.
read that but didn't understand it the first time because it is not clear. And then Epic says it's worried it may never see these users again, that its Fortnite community of players has been torn apart, and that some of its non-Fortnite customers have also been collateral damage.
Let me fix that for you. You
Yes.
damage the relationship between these customers, and you may never get them
Yes.
back because of what you did.
Yes, and we have talked a lot about Zoom, and we try to stay away from quarterly results and all that stuff. We'll usually mention Apple's, but Zoom shares soar after revenue more than quadruples from last year. Quadruple. That is pretty crazy that in 1 year, I mean, we should not be surprised.
No.
But that is a pretty big jump for any business.
It's funny. People glom on to stuff. Zoom has become a verb. Is that the right or adjective? A verb? I should have paid more attention in
Yes.
grammar school. But just in a short time, it went from nothing to becoming a verb. And then it seems the worldwide public, there's only room in their consciousness for one thing.
Yes.
I'm like, why aren't people using Google Meet? Why aren't people using Microsoft Teams? Why aren't people? I mean, there are companies and there are people using those things, but Zoom has caught the public consciousness. And whether you're using Zoom or not, you're Zooming people.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just funny how you get in the right place in the right time and you become this meme, you become this whatever. And I'll argue that, Zoom does a great job, but it's not the best platform out there, but it's the best for what it does. It has features that people really like. And I'm continually surprised that Google doesn't copy every single feature and just
we've
put it
talked
out
about
there.
that.
I guess congratulations, Zoom, for quadrupling your impact and your sales reach in such a short amount of time. And it wasn't without consequence. There were all kinds of outages and hiccups and scandals and software that shouldn't have been installed and servers that were running in the background. I mean, all these things that we've talked about, but that's just crazy. I wish I could go back in time and buy stock in Zoom.
I know. Yes, that would have been nice. One of the notes in the CNBC article here, Zoom averaged 148.4 million monthly active users in the quarter, up 4,700% year over year. 4,700%.
Now they just have to figure out how they can partner with Facebook to put tracking pixels on everything so that they can push ads to everybody.
Oh, don't
even if you are
mention it.
a paying customer.
Yes, if you would have invested in Zoom, you would be very happy right now. Zoom shares are up 369% since the beginning of the year. Not a bad return on your stocks there.
That's Tesla territory right there.
Yes, well, you know what else is Tesla territory? Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
Well, I'm not so sure about that, but me and Elon do have a lot of things in common. One of the things that we like to do with our phones is take pictures of planet Earth. I will classify us as photography buffs or
Yes.
enthusiasts. We like to take video and photos of things. And there's one oft forgotten trick on the iPhone that I just don't use this feature. And I came across it the other day on a tutorial of how to take photos better on your phone, and I just could not wait to share. I'm going to say something that's been a dirty word to me for a long time, and that's live photos. Have
Yes.
you ever received a picture from a person that they thought they were just sending a snapshot, and then you open it up and it's like you see the person's leg as they lift up the camera to show you the thing, and it's like blurry because it was like the camera was moving, and it's like you didn't send me a photo, you sent me like a short movie, and
Yes.
which is okay, I guess, but live photos typically for me just get in the way. So
Yes.
I rush out to turn them off. But my friend, did you know that there are some hidden features? And I think we've talked about these before, but again, they are oft forgotten by me. I just did not remember these things are there. So for those playing along at home, if you can safely open up your Photos app on your iPhone or other iOS device. I suppose iPad would probably be the only other device
Yes.
that would qualify. Your Apple Watch is not going to work for this. But bring up your camera, and up in the top section of your screen, there is like a circle, and it probably has a slash through it. That is the live photo button. And if you click it and it turns yellow, there'll be a flag at the top that says live photo. You're taking live photos, and just take a live photo of anything. I'm going to take one here of my desk. Wonderful. Now this is the hidden part. What you must do now is to go into your little camera roll where the photo comes up. It's generally in the bottom left corner of your photography screen. And when you're on that photo, swipe up. What? There's an effects tab that comes up that's hidden like a little drawer when you swipe up on a live photo. And your choices are live, loop, bounce, and long exposure. And that last one is the one I want to talk about, long exposure. One of the photography techniques that professional photographers use to make their photos seem ethereal and kind of beautiful and time defying is they utilize the long shutter. You take a picture of a waterfall or a stream, and suddenly the water looks like this dreamy, smooth torrent of action versus just a super sharp, crisp photo of the water. And you can achieve a similar effect by using live photos, long exposure setting. So the next time you're out and about, try to take a live photo of a moving object, a car going by, a stream going by, children playing on the playground. Go into your camera roll, swipe up, and choose long exposure, and you'll be greeted with a very cool effect, not dissimilar to professional photographers who use long exposure photography. So it's kind of a hack. It's not perfect, but you don't have to download a special app or buy an expensive digital camera to make this effect possible. So, Nate,
Yes.
you were telling me that you have a little bit of experience with this.
Yes, this is very timely. Just it was about a week ago. We went to one of the many beautiful, awe-inspiring waterfalls in the Pacific Northwest. And I was sitting there going, I've got to have an app on my phone for doing a long exposure. And
Yeah.
I actually remembered this feature, and I, like you, usually do not use a live photo. It can be good sometimes if you're trying to capture a moment because you can change which part of it, but I feel like it doesn't take as good of pictures. But I went in there, I turned on live photo, and I Took
Oh,
some pictures of the
yeah.
waterfall we were at, and then I
Very
turned on the
nice.
long exposure, and it does give me that exact effect that you
Yeah.
were talking about. And I will give people a tip if you're sitting somewhere and don't have something fun to take a live photo. If you are in a stagnant room, if you go into your Photos app on your iPhone or iPad, and if you go under your albums, there is a auto album of all your live photos. So at some point you probably took one, so you could go back and find something if you wanted to play around with this. There's the long exposure, which, like we have said and I used, is great for waterfalls. But there's the other ones too that you can play around with, the bounce and loop and
Hmm.
just the regular live. But yeah, it is amazing that you came across this and wanted to talk about it today, because I literally just used it a week ago.
And Nate, I'm going to show you one I took yesterday. It's not as cool as your waterfall, but it's a river, and you probably can't tell because I think it's out of focus. I'm just showing you through my camera here, but it is a river bend, and the water looks all smooth and the waves and stuff because it's kind of a rapids area, and so it gave a very similar effect to a long exposure on a professional camera. So it's kind of a cheap little trick, but it can certainly turn your photography up one notch. You can get
Yes.
a better looking quality photo out of your phone than maybe you ever expected.
Yeah, especially when you don't even have to get another app, which
Yeah, it's just built in.
it's built in, and there's some great features there. Well, thank you for that. Let's move on to our takes of the week. And before this first story, I will remind you that we are the most nonpartisan tech podcast on the internets. And I found a couple stories this week of, some of you aren't aware, this fall, or this, yeah, it's fall, we
Hmm.
have a presidential election in the United States. Most people aren't really talking about that or aware of it, so I thought I'd remind you. But Dave, I know that you love Animal Crossing,
Hmm.
but I'm not sure if you were aware that the Biden campaign has launched official Animal Crossing New Horizons yard signs. So now you can have an official Team Joe or Biden Harris yard sign at your little cottage in Animal Crossing.
No, I was not aware of this. And for about 3 months, actually, it might have been 4 months, I had lent my game to a friend. She wanted to experience it and try it out. And I finally was like, man, I'm missing all this stuff. I'm reading about like all these events that are happening, new bugs that are coming out. You can now swim in the water and all these, cool and exciting things. And I'm just missing out. And so I said, hey, are you using the game? And she's like, no, I'm not using it anymore. So I quickly snatched it back, and I've been playing it pretty much every day for the past week or so. But no, to answer your question, I have not come across any of this uh, political yard sign stuff. I honestly don't even know how to do it. Like, how do you even get this stuff?
Yes,
I don't even know
well,
what to do.
the Biden Harris campaign released 4 sign designs for players to download, featuring the official Biden Harris logo, Team Joe logo, Joe Pride logo, and an image of aviator sunglasses shades in red, white, and blue. Players will be able to access the designs in game by scanning the design QR codes through the Nintendo Switch online app. So if
Okay. I see at the bottom of this article there is like a Biden Harris sign with a two-dimensional QR code like we've
yes,
discussed in the past. So I will try this probably during this podcast, but I will try this before next week and see if I can get it to work to share with
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, so they are trying new and creative ways. And the second part of this is, we were just talking, I even purchased a Cameo for you for your birthday, but
Yes.
the Biden campaign has an exclusive Cameo partnership where celebrities on Cameo can become part of this program to donate part of their fees to the Biden campaign if you hire them to do a cameo for you. So it was saying that you could have them do a election related cameo for you, or you could just do a normal cameo. I don't know what you would necessarily need an election related cameo for, but they have this partnership. So the Biden Harris campaign is both on Animal Crossing and Cameo. So they're going after the Utes.
I guess, I mean, I'll give them this. They are certainly using innovative techniques to advertise to people. I'm just laughing. I'm imagining a Trump mega hat that you could get in Animal Crossing or something like that. I don't know that their campaign is as digitally savvy as the
Yes.
Biden Harris one. I shake my head because this kind of goes back to the Facebook tracking and all this stuff. This is yet another way people are weaseling into every aspect of your life to quote advertise to you.
Yes.
But it is, I'll give him this. It's very creative, very
Yes.
creative.
Yes. Well, speaking of creative, although I do have a real-time update that I saw just before we started recording, there was an article that came out that in Chicago there was photos being taken of cell phones hanging from trees near Whole Foods stores. And what they found out was that Amazon or Whole Foods delivery drivers or Prime delivery drivers were hanging these phones in trees because they found that the closer you were to the store, the more likely that you would get picked for that delivery order from Whole Foods, whatever it was. So there's all these drivers and they sit in the parking lot waiting for the next order to show up. But some people found out that if you put a phone in a tree and then tagged your phone to that phone, with the same account, that you could get it a couple seconds faster than anybody else. Well, I saw an article this morning that Amazon has already fixed this, and this is not something that was obviously approved by Amazon, but it does show you the cutthroat market for getting these delivery jobs. Now, kind of buried in the article, which I think is the bigger story, is they mentioned that there are people, let's say there's a Whole Foods grocery order, there Amazon is offering to pay, Amazon owns Whole Foods, if you didn't remember that. Amazon will offer to pay $15 for that delivery. Well, there are aspiring entrepreneurs who they will take that $15 fee and then subcontract out to somebody for $10. Now, these people that are subcontracting, they would do it themselves, but if they are not an approved delivery driver, if maybe they had a bad driving record or for whatever reason were not able to do it legally, be set up with Amazon, that they could get these contracts. So it's kind of an interesting twist that where there's money to be made and where people can't do the job themselves or want to make some money off somebody else doing the job for them, people are going to try to do that. So I did not see whether or not they're working to fix that issue. They have fixed the issue of hanging phones from trees, which
Who's going to stop someone from going up there and taking the phone out of the tree and then running away with it?
That
seems like
that's
a bad
the kind
idea.
of stuff. So maybe they're sitting in their car, but they put it in the tree and they're watching the phones, and the picture has many trees there. So yeah, it did not seem like a long-lasting solution for getting more delivery jobs.
I bet you that photo is a recreation. I bet that's not a
Yes.
real photo. Someone did that.
That's a very good point. Now, our next take, I would love to know if we have any listeners to our podcast that do not subscribe or have access to a Netflix account. I would venture to say that the overwhelming majority of our listeners probably have a Netflix account. But if you do not, they do have, and they've had some of this in the past, but they're continuing to make it available. They have free content available for non-subscribers via Android or the web version, and it is ad supported. So some of their original content you can watch for free if you have an Android device or via the web browser for non-subscribers. So I was very surprised to learn of that, as I'm guessing you were by your reaction there.
No idea.
So that is something to be aware of if you don't have Netflix or access to somebody else's account, as is often the case. You can check that out.
I see these articles on Reddit every once in a while. People write in or share a screenshot that somebody, an ex-lover or an ex-roommate or something like that, will text the person and say, "Hey, I noticed that your Netflix thing is about out. Can you renew?" Or, "Hey, you changed the password." And it's like, why do you Why did you have it to begin with? It's just the gall of some people to.
Yes.
I'm stealing
dare
your.
you?
I'm, I'm stealing your stuff. Can you give me access again, please?
Yes, or like when my iPad was stolen many years ago, and I talked about the fact that I noticed in my Netflix account that somebody was watching children's shows with my
Yeah.
iPad on my stolen iPad, and the police were not able to help in that situation. But that's a whole nother story. With iOS 14, one of the things that Apple is going to do, which I think is going to be a great option for app developers, is offer codes for free and discounted subscriptions.
Hmm.
So they can currently do a free trial for an app, but they're also offering, Apple is building in that they could give you an offer code. So let's say it's one of the children's apps that I've talked about where it's, $15 a month to subscribe to the app. They could, on a one-to-one or a group basis, give you an offer code as like a promotion saying, hey, here's 6 months free. And so I like seeing these things where it's giving developers better options to get people to try out their apps or be able to use their apps for free while they're still trying to make a profit, hopefully without advertising.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, so that'll be a good one. Well, if I see any instances of that, I will report back. In this last take, seems very impressive to me. T-Mobile, both of ours and our family's mobile carrier, is launching a $10.7 billion with a B dollar initiative to get more underserved students online for remote learning.
Wow, that's a pretty hefty price tag.
Yes, so they are offering free wireless hotspots up to 100 gigabytes per year. So you're not going to be able to stream all the Netflix you want, but that's a pretty generous amount of free high-speed data and access to at-cost tablets and laptops, or the equivalent value of approximately $500 annually per student household. Well, that's a lot of zeros. I'm doing some quick math here, but that seems very high. Hundreds of millions of people could benefit from this. I think my math is a little off because I can't count zeros at the moment. But yeah, I think this is just a really great program that is one of the things that is a big concern with remote learning and even just regular learning is children not having access to the internet. And so the fact that school districts apply for this to get enrolled, and then T-Mobile will be helping them get these students set up. So it seems like a really great program, and I hope that it works out as planned and that it gets utilized.
You just don't hear these things coming from companies like Comcast or others who have the infrastructure and ability to really help these people. There was a family I was talking to the other day who would have T-Mobile, except for their household. T-Mobile doesn't work for them because it doesn't reach. I mean, the cellular signal doesn't penetrate where they live. So, T-Mobile's doing all these great things, but they just don't have the reach that something like a cable company would have. So it's a little bit disappointing that the people who are equipped to really make a difference don't have their act together or selfish or stingy or who knows what. And I have to believe also T-Mobile's motivation here is they do want to help people, but they're launching their new in-home internet service through their cellular. I see ads for it all the time. And I'm very intrigued by it, but this is a great way to get that service in front of a lot of people so that next time when it comes to buying a new house and signing up for internet and stuff, it'd be like, oh, remember T-Mobile? They have this in-home Wi-Fi service now that you can get through them because my kid's cousin got it from, on this initiative. So
looks like to be a win-win. It's good for these students and it's good for T-Mobile, and I didn't need to do the math because I can see here it's called Project 10 Million. So I'm guessing they're probably looking to help about 10 million students. So
yeah.
that would have helped me from trying to count zeros there.
I just thought of something. We should probably read these articles before we start talking about them.
No.
Never mind.
I read the article. I just didn't see the title of the project. I was too eager to do math. And speaking of large sums of money, our security and privacy story of the week circles back to Fortnite, but other games as well. And it's talking about the fact that the stolen Fortnite account sold as part of $1 billion with a B black market for game accounts. So stolen game accounts, obviously the most popular games are going to get most of the focus on this, like Minecraft, Roblox, RuneScape.
So how does this work? So someone guesses a username and a password from somebody, and then what do they do with that?
So then they sell that to somebody, so then they have access to an account that might have special skins in Fortnite. So let's say you're trying to get into Fortnite, but you don't want to put in the time to get where you want to be in the game and get all the special stuff. That if they can guess somebody's account, and how they're doing it is, it says right here in the article, criminals are using automated tools that can check 500 accounts a second to discover if login credentials stolen in various recent data breaches unlock any Fortnite accounts. So this kind of goes back to our ongoing theme of, well, password security. And so if your Yahoo account was stolen and you use the same password on Fortnite, they're not sitting there typing away stuff. They use automated tools, 500 accounts a second, Dave.
That is crazy. That is crazy. And you got to know that a lot of these people who are being affected are kids, and so
Yes.
they probably don't have very good security practices.
Yeah, so it says an average account sells for $200 to $250. But yeah, just another
Well,
great reminder that
I just don't think that if I had $200 laying around that I would use it to buy a stolen Fortnite account that has like extra skins or progression within the game. It just doesn't seem like a worthy thing to spend my money on, but
yes, well, and it
maybe I'm
says
crazy.
later in the article, one seller hawks $20,000 worth of Fortnite accounts a day. So somebody seems to be buying these things.
I wonder if they're trying to get the credit card information out of those accounts or
Yeah, it
something.
seems like you would want more than just a great account that looks cool on this. I don't know if you'd
It doesn't
how
seem
that
worth it.
stuff. Yeah, and Fortnite does say, or a lot of these services are building in more security, second factor authentication, all of this stuff. But the black market thrives, especially with these automated tools and poor security. So please take
Yeah.
care of your accounts. Our bonus odd take of the week, after the scaring you with the security and privacy, this one is maybe the most peaceful one that we've done. It is a project called Sounds of the Forest. And what they are doing is crowdsourcing audio recordings of forests around the world.
Interesting.
So I looked through and listened to some of these. You're going to be surprised to find that many forests sound very similar.
I'm not surprised at that.
Yes.
This seems like something that they could have predicted, maybe.
Yes, but yeah, so maybe they're just trying to prove, if a tree falls in the forest, it doesn't make a sound, but just an interesting open source library of forest sounds. So if you need some good peaceful background music, go find your favorite forest. I did notice that surprisingly, with all the forests we have in Oregon, there's a couple in Washington, but none in Oregon, but there are some throughout the world in different various areas. So
And you just
check
take
it out.
your cell phone out there and do this, or is this professionals using good equipment to record?
I did not see if they had any recommend or requirements for the audio quality. I guess I could look at the contribute page. I'm guessing there is different levels of recording quality, but the microphone on your phone is pretty good, especially just to record some forest sounds.
This is kind of a sidetrack, but I've always kind of thought it would be nice maybe when I'm retired someday, when I'm 96, and take a nice high quality Zoom recorder and just create a sound library. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people do this. There are people who do this for a job where they
Yeah,
just go
yeah.
to the side of the road and it's a car speeding by and they have a sound library that they either sell online or using their personal projects or whatever. It's just an intriguing thing because it's almost like bird watching or hiking or something. You just can kind of go out in the world and you hear something interesting and you just record it and then move on. Maybe I'm boring, but it seems like kind of a fun thing to do in
Yeah.
your off time. So
Well,
maybe
maybe you
they're
should get Oregon on the map. And they do recommend that you just use a recorder on your phone and to take a picture of the scene in front of you so they can tie the photo to the scene. And then they have a submission form there and do it. So, Dave,
I'm going to do it.
that's your mission. Get to the forest. Stat. And you know what all of you should get out and do is listen to our picks of the week.
So Nate, I looked far and wide for this pick of the week, and actually, I take that back. This was very recent, and as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, the show Community. Last night, I couldn't help but look at the T-shirt that one of the characters, Abed Nadir, he always has a different T-shirt in all the episodes, and some of them are pretty cool. And the one he had on last night was like a planet holding hands with a moon, and they were like circling around each other like maybe they were dancing, and it was all this kind of cutesy artwork. And I was like, man, where's he getting these T-shirts from? That's really cool. So I did a quick internet search and I came across this site, and I think I've found it a long time in the past, but it's called wornontv.net. And you can search your favorite shows and your favorite characters, and there are screenshots of all the apparel that they wear in these programs, complete with links. When you click on the thumbnail with the apparel, it'll take you to the place where you can buy the shirt. I put the link in the show to Community, to Abed, and it's got every shirt he's worn in every episode. And if you just scroll down and see one that you like here's a random one, Abed's dinosaur T-shirt. You click on it, and it has an exact match for a T-shirt that you can buy on Threadless for $25. And you just click the link, go right to threadless.com, and you too could have Abed Nadir's dinosaur shirt from the show. I mean, I think it's awesome. There are probably lots of programs where people wear clothing that you might want to find something. So, Nate, try it real quick. What is the show that you appreciate people's clothing in?
Oosh. I have a pretty predetermined sense of fashion.
Yeah, you do.
I'm
Well,
trying to think. I'm going
here's
to look
one.
up.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, my family watches Blackish and Last Man Standing, and they're both on here. So I'm thinking Last Man Standing is probably closer to your style. I'm going to pick. Of course, it doesn't have Tim Allen's character on there. It's only the female characters, but that's okay. We'll have Vanessa, his wife, and see what she's wearing. A lot of flannel, button-ups, very conservative white lady type clothing that you would be very interested in.
Very nice. Yes, I'm looking through. I did not find Space Force as a show we watched recently.
Oh yeah.
And I was looking. I didn't see anything on there, but that's I didn't imagine it would be. But man, they do have a very thorough listing here. And
like, how do they find this stuff? So Vanessa's character, I just clicked on a random one, and the dress she's wearing is a $339 dress from Nordstrom. So people are looking on Threadless. They're looking at Nordstrom, every other clothing store out there. Like, how do they find this stuff?
I do not know, but yeah, that is a very, very cool website that could become a very quick time suck if you wanted to look through stuff.
But if you want cool T-shirts that you've seen on TV, it's a great place to go.
Yes, that is very cool. Nice one. Well, my pick of the week, I have had in the past, and I don't think I've mentioned this one before, some picks of some emails that I subscribe to. There's several of them that I get, and I know we all have a love-hate relationship with emails and the automated ones you get, but this is both for the person and their email. There is a gentleman named Seth Godin. He is an author, a speaker, very popular. He's got some seminars. He's got a program called the Alt MBA, so it's an alternative to the Masters in Business Administration, where it's a very forward-thinking program. But he has a blog. And I get an email from him, I think it's every weekday, with one of his blog posts. And he writes a lot of blog posts, but they are just usually very short, usually very inspirational. One of the reasons I've got a whole list of the different blog posts in a Apple Notes because a lot of the stuff aligns very closely with holistic cost. And a lot of my ideas were there, and so like this one, that one of the ones that I found is called "What Will You Do with the Time You Save? Ordering instead of cooking, working from home instead of commuting, using a dishwasher instead of the sink. All that time saved. Now that you've got the time back, you get to choose what's truly important to you. How will you spend it?" And then
I can answer that. I'll be playing video games.
Yes.
And sleeping a lot, and
Yes.
reading comic books probably.
Yes, and he does put in brackets at the end. Time spent on TV and social media has gone up every year of my lifetime. But yeah, it's just a great way to get a little inspirational or to get you thinking about something. And if you click the link in the show notes, there's a thing on the left. You can just put in your email. He will occasionally try to promote some of his marketing seminar or his courses that he does.
Sure.
He's got a podcast as well, but very intelligent guy. I highly recommend it.
This is
Check
the
him out.
right way to advertise. He offers a product that people want. He offers a life value, and then he'll slide in, "Hey, here's some stuff that you can
Yes.
buy from me." That's a fantastic way.
Yes.
No
Yeah.
tracking pixels.
Yes.
This is good.
Yeah, so really, really great thing there. So check that out. Our Ramazon purchase of the week this week. We love it when you guys use our links to shop through Amazon because good chance you're already shopping there unless you're Todd, which even he did to buy those typewriter ribbons. But I love going through the anonymous reports and seeing what you're buying. Every once in a while I'll see even old products that we've talked about.
Yes, and I did get confirmation who bought the stand-up
Yes.
portable toilet tent, and it was our friends Chris, Carolyn, and I want to give a shout out to Landon also, who listens to the show. So
Nice.
hello,
Well,
Landon, out
Thank
there
you
in Radio
very
Land.
much. Dave, this one is a very cool product that I had not seen the specific one. I've seen similar things. It is Gooseneck Tablet Holder, Lamicall Tablet Stand, Flexible Arm Clip Tablet Mount, compatible with iPad Mini Pro Air Switch, Galaxy Tabs, more 4.7 to 10.5 inch devices. Great. That was a mouthful. Couldn't even do it in one breath.
Wow.
But this clips on to the edge of a desk or table or whatever you might need. And then you can connect a tablet, and it has a flexible area in the middle. I will send you a picture here so that you can check it out. This seems like something you would like. So while you're looking at the picture, I'll let you know 4.5 stars on over 5,000 ratings. And I said last week that I was having this weird thing where the star ratings wouldn't show up correctly in the web browser. Then when you click, things were totally different. It was 100% the fake spot Chrome extension I was using. I turned that off and everything went back to normal. So I've turned that off for now. I don't know if it was a bug or a feature for them, what it was showing, but I would rather just see the actual Amazon ratings.
Yeah, for sure.
I've tried to trust those, or at least look at that. So that's what was causing that issue.
Okay. So you're right. This is I had a very similar thing in my mind as you were describing this on this very long title. It clamps onto your desk. It's got a rigid but bendable cable that you can twist in all sorts of manners with a tablet clip at the end. I mean, I'm sure all of us have seen these type of things. This would probably be something very useful for my desk. I have a very narrow, I'm going to say it's probably 2.5, 3 feet wide. I don't even think it's 3 feet wide, 2.5 feet wide desk that's on wheels that I can roll around my studio here for various camera angles, which is kind of cool. But it doesn't give me a lot of space. So having something like this attached where I could fly out one of my iPads, so having something like this I can see as a big benefit. So I'm singing the praises of this stand before I even know how much it costs.
There's even, before you say anything,
Okay.
there's a photo of it holding the Nintendo Switch and then somebody using the, what do we call them, Joy-Cons?
Yeah, the Joy-Cons.
Apart from it. So it's,
And
this
I have a
harkens
Pro
back
controller,
to my neck. What was that thing that I got a couple of and I gave you one, the neck phone?
It's right over there, and I used it the other day with my
Nice.
Nintendo Switch.
Perfect.
I look like the biggest idiot. I'm sitting in my chair with my Pro controller, looking kind of down at this Nintendo Switch that's floating in front of my face with your neck
Yes.
stand. So I looked dumb, but it was really convenient. So it was great.
So, Dave, what would you pay for a product like this? It does look to be very well built. Kind of scrolling through everything, that's got, some nice padding in the places it needs it, and looks very nice. So, what would you pay for something like this?
I think this device is going to cost. It may be high, but I'm thinking this thing's like a $35 product.
You are very close. It is currently $30.99.
Okay.
So,
$30.99.
yeah,
Yes.
that is.
So right in that range. Well worth it. I mean, I would probably pay $40 for a good one of these.
Yeah.
But yeah, $30 is more than fair. So maybe I'll have to pick up one of these. I'm a little concerned it's going to look weird with the bent little arm flying out. But at the end of the day, all that really matters is the screen where you want it.
Yes.
That's what matters.
Yes, and it looks like this gives you definitely the option to get it where you want it and have it stay there, which is also important.
I love it. I think it's a great product.
Yes. Okay, well, with that, we will wrap up this episode of the podcast. Again, thank you so much for listening and sharing with friends and sending in your questions and buying through our Amazon links, all that good stuff. Now it's time to get out there and tech better.
That's what she said.
Heyo. Last week that in Shasha. So I did some quick math and I forgot what the math was. I probably should have put 10.7 billion.
Carry the 1.
10 billion would be 10 billion 700 million. One more 0. 2, 3. Well,